let's call the meeting to order. We will know the presence of a quorum. I'd invite you to please stand. We'll begin with the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome guest, staff, visitors present with us here this morning. First item would be approval of the agenda, of which we have two changes. Number one, change under consent agenda, item 2J will be omitted. And we'll add another item under 2.1, and that will be a gambling permit for wounded warriors.
Forgotten heroes, Mr.
Or forgotten heroes. David, any other?
No, Mr. Chair.
Okay, with that I would move a motion to approve as amended.
I'll make a motion.
Okay,
Reverse it.
motion by Commissioner Carney, supported Commissioner Westerland, approving the agenda as amended. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion's carried. Agenda is hereby approved.
Do you have to do roll call?
Mr. Chair, it needs to be a roll call.
Oh, thank you. One of these days, and then he'll be home and we don't have to do that anymore. Commissioner Carney?
Aye.
Commissioner Westerland?
Aye.
Commissioner Sample?
Aye.
I'll support the motion. Motion carries. Thank you. Citizens' public comment. Are there any comments or requests from visitors this morning? Comments or requests from visitors this morning? Last call for any comments or requests from visitors. Hearing none, we'll go on to the consent agenda, of which I'd entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Commissioner Westerland approving the consent agenda. Support? I'll support the motion. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
because I'm the executive director of Forgotten Heroes,
Yeah,
I have to abstain.
but that was removed from consent.
Okay.
Further discussion, hearing none, we'll call. Commissioner Westerland,
Aye.
Commissioner Sample,
Aye.
Commissioner Carney.
Aye.
I'll support the motion. That motion carries as well. The add-on item, item 2.1, gambling permit. Dave, do you want to make any comments on this?
Just that it's a gambling permit application for the Forgotten Heroes Range to be held at 23796 450th Street.
Okay. Do you want to make a declaration of abstain?
I have to abstain. I'm the executive director of Forgotten Heroes.
Okay, minutes reflect that Commissioner Sample will be abstaining from discussion and voting on this item. Do we have a motion for approval? Commissioner Carney moves approval. Support?
I'll second.
Commissioner Westerland supports. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. Commissioner Carney?
Aye.
Commissioner Westerland?
Aye.
Commissioner Sample?
Abstain.
I will support that motion. The motion prevails. On to Land Commissioner. Dennis Thompson, welcome, DJ.
Yeah, good morning, Commissioners. One of my favorite summaries or presentations to give, talking about the apportionment. So obviously, an annual presentation, I've been coming to the county board here every year, usually about this time. It's April, May, by the time we get everything figured out for what happened the previous year. So just a quick little reminder, we have an FTS account, that's our forfeited tax sales account. And any revenue that we generate off of tax forfeited land goes into this account. And then at the end of the year, we take out the management expenses, the expenses we had to actually manage the land and to generate that money. We subtract that out, and then the difference is distributed out to a couple of different things. One of them, obviously, the county board or the county general fund. And then we have money that goes back into reforestation, recreation. Most importantly, the cities, the school districts, and the townships get money as well. So,
So DJ, I just have one.
yeah,
Does the state get any of that?
the state does not.
Okay,
No.
just mentioning that.
Good question.
So the money comes from a number of sources. On the next slide, I'll give you a little breakdown on where that is, but the majority of it obviously is timber sales. We're gonna run anywhere from 65 to 75 timber sales on county tax forfeited land every year. So that generates the bulk of the revenue. But we also have some other things that can actually generate money off the county land. Land sales is one. Gravel is another one that this year there's a couple different projects where contractors have been interested in aggregate material from the county pits. So we actually this year might have a fairly significant amount of money generated with the gravel. We also have a number of leases, easements. There might be some other miscellaneous things that are in there, sewer line permits, things like that. But actually, I take that back. The sewer line permits would not be in there, but any other special use permits, things like that. So for this year, for 2025, our sources of income broke down pretty similar to what they have in the years past. Roughly 80% of the money that was generated came off of our timber sales. 18% came off our land sales. This was a pretty good increase from the previous year. A lot of that was surplus money that was not claimed with the 2025 land sales. I'm not expecting that for 2026. I think that's a number that certainly won't be able to be counted on. I think it's gonna vary from year to year on what we're generating from the land sales. We do have parcels that we have been putting up for sale where people have been requesting that they be put up for sale, and if it's in the right area and if it's a parcel that doesn't fit into our management, we certainly will take a look at it, and we have one right now that we will be putting up for sale here in January, so. And then the leases and the easements, very small dollar amount that comes in from there. And these are the percentages where that all goes. Part of these percentages are set in state statute. Some of them are also dictated by the county board. 2 weeks ago at the last board meeting, we had a resolution that 30% would go towards our reforestation, 20% would go into our parks and recreation, and then the others are dictated by statute. That's 10%. Townships, cities should be included in there as well. And then we have our schools at 20%. And then 20% of it actually goes to the county. So this goes back into the general fund, so.
Mr. Chair, if I
Yeah,
may.
Commissioner Sample.
DJ, the schools, is Long Lake part of that?
It is not, nope, these are actual school districts determined by the state, so. And we'll get into where the schools are, but Long Lake does not get any of the apportionment money.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. So some highlights from this year's apportionment. Our 2025 revenue from our forfeited tax sales, roughly 1.5, just under 1.5 million. That has been about our 10-year average in that 1.4, 1.5. We typically budget about 1.4, 1.5. So it's nice when we hit that number. Last year, or I should say 2023, was a slower year. We did not hit that. We were at about 1.1. So that significantly reduces the amount that we are apportioning. I like to hit that 1.4, 1.5, because then that means we have about 700,000 that we're going to be apportioning. So, so the actual dollar amount came out 725,000. $37 was the net that was in there. 2026, just a couple notes on that. We're off to a slow start. Next year's apportionment presentation might not be as cheery and rosy, but we had a couple things happen this winter. One of them, our largest consuming mill, Sappy and Cloquet, shut down for 9 days. That significantly affected things. And then another thing that people don't think about, the windstorm that we had in the Bemidji area. There's another mill, the West Fraser Mill in Solway up by Bemidji, was taking strictly blowdown wood. So it was not taking any other open sourced wood. So the loggers up there, if they didn't have blowdown wood, they were sitting on wood. So markets were really tough in this winter. So we're hoping for a better logging season coming up here this summer when things dry down and into the fall.
So, Mr. Chair,
Yes, Commissioner Westerland.
you know, you see a lot of logs. I mean, all over the place. I mean, I've driven many miles and it's like, why are they all just hanging out? The price?
Yeah, part of it is, it's a number of different things, but yeah, markets are a little tough right now.
Okay.
So, and they have been, and that's mainly Sappy, who on average will take 186 semis a day.
Wow.
So that's a lot of wood. That's just under 1 million cords of wood a year. And when they're shut down, and it's easy to back things up. So it
Okay.
would have been really nice. Some of the meetings I've been at this December, over the winter, folks have been talking about how nice the Huber Mill would have been in Grand Rapids. Cause that would have been an outlet for another 400,000 cords per year, but. So, we'll see. Hopefully this year turns around a little bit, but. So the actual dollar amounts, when you break them out, we had our memorial forests. This is kind of a little separate category, but they get 100,000 on that. Parks and Trails ended up with 124,000. Reforestation 187. The schools ended up with 124,000. The county got 124,000 back, and then their townships were at about 62,000.
DJ, the county's apportionment, does that go directly into your budget?
Nope.
Where does that go?
That goes directly into the general fund.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Willy-nilly fund,
Just,
just like the state.
yep. So it goes right into the county's general fund. So, and then, the money that's given out or that's distributed is based on where that revenue was generated. So it's not an even, Aitkin, each township gets this percentage. So, the townships that are heavily forested with county land are obviously gonna be the benefactors of that. So, and then the schools, you can see that of the 124,966.20. You can see the school districts and what each individual school district got. I've yet to see any school outpace McGregor. McGregor is always at the top. There seems to be a lot of county forfeited land in McGregor, in the McGregor School District, I should say. Hill City and Aitkin seem to flip-flop. Last year, Aitkin was ahead of Hill City. This year, Hill City is taking second place there. And then just some smaller amounts that get spread out: Isle, Floodwood, Willow River, Hinckley, Finlayson. I'm sure when they get that check, they're not really even sure where it's from. But it's interesting. There's 10 different school districts that have boundaries.
What are the other three?
Ooh, I would have to.
Isle,
Isle is up there.
Isle is included,
it's already included.
Does East Central come into Aitkin?
Yep. East Central is there.
probably down in the Geezy area.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Yeah, I was just curious.
yeah, yep. So, but those are the normal, typically what that breakdown generally looks like, for those school districts. So, but other than that, I think, yeah, that was the last slide I had. And certainly if anybody had any other questions on the apportionment, I'd be more than happy to answer them.
Commissioners? Good presentation, DJ, very informative.
Yep, thank you.
You are welcome.
And we will hope for continued prosperity this
Yes.
fiscal year. On to County Engineer John Welly. Welcome, John, and good morning.
Thank you, and good morning to you. Couple items here, both related to our County Road 5 reconstruction project through the Kimberly area. I thought I'd just give a brief update on this project to provide some background information for these two agreements that are before us today. So back in 2018 is when we programmed County Road 5 reconstruction through Kimberly for reconstruction, basically the entire 4.7 mile segment. We had planned to take it from a gravel road, improve it to a paved road standard. Initially, I think we had a anticipated completion year of 2025 on that project. As we got into the project, it was a little bit more complicated than we thought, so we've had to delay it a bit, but we have been steadily working towards completion of the project. We broke it up into 4 phases. The first phase being the clearing and grubbing to allow utilities, which are everywhere out there, time to move. The second phase was replacement of the bridge over the Rice River. The third phase is the main reconstruction work. And then the fourth phase is the bituminous paving. So the first phase, that clearing and grubbing, we actually got that done in the winter of 24-25. So that was completed. Last year, 2025, we built the bridge, the new bridge over the Rice River. Later this year, hopefully July, if our schedule holds, we'll be opening bids on the reconstruction project. That's, I think we've got it estimated at a little under $6 million of construction costs. So it's a large project, a lot of dirt to move, and a lot of work connected with that project. But we, as I said, we hope to open bids on that project in July. We will likely get started moving dirt on it late this year in the fall months, but the majority of the reconstruction work would happen in 2027. And then in 2028, we are planning to bituminous pave it. So this is one of those projects. 2018 is when we started working on it. 2028 is looking like the completion, a decade of working on this project. It's been a complicated project for a number of reasons. Like I mentioned, there's a bridge over the Rice River. There's a railroad crossing with Burlington Northern Santa Fe, and it's not only a single track crossing, it's a double track, which complicated things even further. We've got a mile-long bog that we have to build a road across. And as I said, we've got numerous utilities out there. There's just not many north-south corridors in that area of the county going either direction, east or west. So all of the utilities are concentrated in that area. So we've had a lot of utility coordination to do. But we have been making progress on the project, though. We've completed the permitting with over 10 acres of wetland impacts on the project. That was a fairly lengthy process. We also have completed right-of-way acquisition. We had to buy right-of-way for the entire 4.7 mile segment. I think we bought close to 50, maybe even higher than that, between 50 and 60 parcels of land. So that also has been completed, which brings us to Burlington Northern Santa Fe. Burlington Northern was one of those property owners that we had to acquire right-of-way from. About 6,000 feet of this roadway actually runs partially or fully in Burlington Northern Railroad property. They have a 400-foot corridor through the Kimberly area, and if you look at the one map in the agreement, you can see where our road runs parallel to the railroad track on the south side of the track for about 3,000 feet, then it crosses the railroad track, and then it runs on the north side parallel to Burlington Northern for another 3,000 feet. So about 6,000 feet of this 4.7 mile project is actually, like I said, partially or completely within the Burlington Northern right-of-way. So we needed to acquire right-of-way from Burlington Northern, which is not at all an easy task. In addition to that, we had to work through creating a new crossing with Burlington Northern, a new crossing of our highway and their railroad, which again, if you look at the number of new crossings that happen on railroads, they are very few and very far between, just because it's a very complex process to get a new crossing. We didn't think this would be that complicated since there's an existing crossing and we're simply moving it 100 feet. However, it was basically viewed as a new crossing, and we went through the whole process to establish a new railroad crossing. I gotta recognize Paul Kazmerzak from my office. He's our right-of-way and permitting person, and he was the one that was doing a lot of these discussions with Burlington Northern over the past 2+ years. Working with people in Texas, consultants from the East Coast. Just a very a very complex right-of-way acquisition. But that brings us to this first agreement, I guess, that I have before you. This is an agreement between us and Burlington Northern. There's a number of things in this agreement. One of the things is that easement that we were seeking. We're acquiring a 50-foot wide easement on either side of the road center line, so a 100-foot total corridor easement through the BNSF property. We had originally appraised that right-of-way at around $20,000, and that is the amount that's, our appraisal amount is the amount that's in this agreement for us to pay Burlington Northern for that easement. There's other things in this agreement, though, too. As I said, we're creating a new crossing of the railroad, so that means that Burlington Northern has to do a bunch of work to facilitate the highway crossing at the railroad track. Namely, on either side of the railroad track, they put concrete planks, so there's a complete concrete crossing. So we just entered into a similar agreement with BNSF last year, if you recall, for County Road 28, Cedar Lake Road, where they replaced that crossing. Our cost on that project was $40,000. They shared that cost with us. So on this crossing, because there's two tracks, it's double the cost, and it's entirely our cost. They're not participating in that cost at all because because it was our road that moved. So, they view that as our cost. So those are the two main things that are in this agreement, granting us the easement, and then also the agreement, that outlines how they're gonna construct the new crossing, and we're gonna pay them for their, estimated, at this time it's estimated, we'll end up paying them their actual cost of reconstructing that crossing, which is, like I said, estimated at, what was the number, $168,000. So those are the two main things in this agreement. The other thing that's in this agreement is that when we enter into a contract with our road construction contractor to build the highway across the railroad property, we have to require in our contract with the contractor that contractor enters into an agreement with BNSF. And that agreement outlines a whole bunch of things that the contractor has to do when they're working in the BNSF right-of-way. So all of those things are in this agreement. As I said in the memo, if you look at the total cost of this agreement, BNSF has a $2,500 administrative fee, another $2,500 temporary construction license fee, that $20,905 for the easement, and then the estimated $168,000 cost for them to construct the crossing. So under this agreement, when it's all completed, we would pay them the sum of those amounts, which is a little over $194,000 for the crossing and for the easement.
Commissioner Westerland?
So John, do they have to shut any part of that down during construction? the railroad.
No.
So maybe they should look at, if they had to shut that down, look at how much loss they would have. I mean, I can't believe they're charging us all this penny, nickel, dime stuff. Do you know what I mean? It's just insane. And then, how many miles is this?
The total project is 4.7 miles.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? It just, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think, I mean, it's pretty much longstanding practice that, where a highway intersects a railroad, there's a crossing there.
Yeah.
And I'm just talking about the physical crossing, the surface crossing, the concrete planks. And it's pretty much longstanding process, I think, not only with BNSF, but with all the major railroads in the state that, if it's a typical situation where, the crossing is just wore out and it needs to be replaced, it's an equal cost share. And that's, as I said, that's what it was last year on Cedar Lake Road. And that's what we've typically been used to. I think the practice also is that if one or the other entity is the cause for having to construct a new crossing, then it's their cost. So in this one, it's pretty clear. I mean, BNSF had just replaced that crossing not too long ago. I'm going to say within the last 10 years. I was on a 50-50 cost share with us. And it's our project that's necessitating them to, replace the crossing at the new location. So it's entirely our cost. And because it's in a siding area with two tracks, it's double the cost. So, that's where that $168,000 cost comes from, and it's entirely our cost. Yeah, so I mean, I guess this one wasn't all that unanticipated because we knew a typical single track crossing costs $80,000, and this was two tracks, so we were expecting it to be up in that $160,000 range. So,
Commissioner Sample?
Hey, John, you said they estimated at 168, but we gotta pay the actual cost when it's done. Are they usually pretty close?
yeah, they're usually pretty close. They do a lot of these, so they're pretty close. It's actually BNSF, the company, their workers that are actually installing this crossing. So they have a pretty good handle on, what the materials cost and what they're, how much time it's going to take them to install it. So they're usually pretty close.
Yeah. I mean, I was just curious if they say, well, it's gonna cost 168,000, but guess what, guys? It's gonna cost you 200, the actual cost, but.
And I mean, if something happened that it was that I think the agreement would, require us to pay that. It is an estimate. I think, like anyone, they want to estimate high because they don't want to be over their cost estimate. So, I think that's why they typically are very close to that estimate. I don't recall where it's been significantly over with all of the crossings we've replaced.
And you feel comfortable with it? With their estimates and stuff?
Well, yeah, I mean, this, I mean, if you're asking generally about the agreement, I mean, we've been working to get this agreement in place for a couple of years. It's been like I said, a very long, time-consuming process, which at times, it seemed to be just spinning our wheels and not getting anywhere. But that's what happens when you're, working with, folks far away and then third-party consultants and everything. But yeah, I guess, the agreement, it looks to have everything in it that we wanted to see in it. The county attorneys reviewed it, found it appropriate as to form, content. This is an agreement just between BNSF and us, so they don't require a resolution from the county board to allow me to sign the agreement, unlike the next agreement that I'm going to be talking to you about. And with our, I guess, goal of only, trying to reduce the number of resolutions, I'm just asking for a motion to authorize myself to enter into this agreement.
Commissioners, you've heard the request. Do we have a motion?
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chair.
We have a motion on the floor to set effect by Commissioner Sample, and is there support?
Second.
A motion is supported by Commissioner Westerland. Any discussion? Yes, John, I'd just like to applaud, as noted at the bottom of the agenda request page, where you budgeted this for a number of years. Just applaud you and your staff for futuristic and foresightful thinking. So thank you.
Cool.
Further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. Commissioner Carney? Commissioner Westerlin?
Aye.
Commissioner Sample?
Aye.
I too will support the motion. The motion prevails. And you can enter into the agreement.
Okay, that brings us to the next agreement. So, same exact location, same background information. Now we're talking about the signal. So the first agreement got us the concrete surface crossing of the new highway railroad intersection. This agreement deals with the actual signal, to warn motorists that there's a railroad track there. Currently, what's out there is simply stop signs. It's an unimproved road, so it's stop signs, very low cost traffic control for a highway railroad at grade crossing. Basically, the minimal type of system, the minimal cost of a system. Because of the way we're crossing the railroad at a 15-degree skew, we were hoping that we could possibly get by with just, the signal, the lights, when there's a train there, the red lights would be flashing. But because of the skew, MnDOT's policy is that it has to be signals and gates. So, just like on, the 169 crossing here in town or County Road 12 out east of town, this agreement is to install a signalized crossing with gates. And this agreement is a three-way agreement. It's between MnDOT, the railroad, and Aitkin County. And the roles of each of those are, MnDOT kind of oversees the entire program. They manage through their rail office all of the highway crossings in the state. So they're kind of coordinating with BNSF on the construction of the signal. BNSF, again, their staff, their crews will actually install the crossing. And then we're the third party to this agreement because we're going to pay part of that agreement. So let's see. I'll give you the bad news first, and then I'll give you the good news. So the bad news was that the cost of this signal, when it came in, it really surprised all of us. We were expecting the BNSF's estimated cost of the signal to be around $400,000. That's what they typically are for a signalized gated system. When it came in, nearly double that. I think both MnDOT and us, which, both MnDOT and Aitkin County share in the cost of it. So when it came in so high, we were, I guess, asking a lot of questions why it was so high. Basically, because of that siding, because of the double track, that it throws a lot of extra equipment into the crossing, a lot of extra cost, and so there you have it. That's the bad news. The cost is estimated at $798,000. The good news is when we first got that cost, MnDOT rapidly backtracked from their 50% cost share and said, we don't have the money to do that. So if you want to proceed with it, you're going to have to pay for it. Which, we kind of pleaded with them a bit and, asked them if there were other avenues or other options. And after some discussions, they were able to commit to funding the 50%. So that's the good news. So, this agreement, again, it's between us, BNSF, and MnDOT. Essentially, BNSF will construct the signal. The estimated $798,000 cost will be 50% MnDOT, and of MnDOT's 50% share, 5% of that is actually federal dollars. But then the other 50% cost is ours. So our total cost under this agreement is just under $400,000, $399,000. This agreement being with MnDOT, they will not enter into an agreement unless there's a board resolution. So I do need a board resolution for this agreement, which was attached. County Attorney Ratz has also reviewed this agreement and found it appropriate as to form and content.
Commissioners, you've heard the recommendation to approve the attached resolution. Barring any further comments or questions, I'd entertain a motion.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chair.
Have a motion on the floor to set effect approving the resolution by Commissioner Sample, and we need support.
I'll second.
And that motion is
never mind.
supported by Commissioner Westerland. Discussion. Hearing no discussion, we'll call the question. Commissioner Sample,
Aye.
Commissioner Westerland,
Aye.
Commissioner Carney. I too will support the motion. Motion prevails and resolution is approved. Thank you very much, John.
Thank you.
Thanks, John.
You guys struggling out there with all this rain on the roads?
They will
I
be.
don't believe so. I don't think we've had any problems.
You guys do a great job.
Thank you.
Mississippi went up about 2 feet because of this rain.
Yeah.
Chris, you're on deck here.
So did my garden.
Welcome.
It's floating.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
I am here this morning to both inform you of and ask for your permission to participate in what we're calling MinCERT. This is a Minnesota County Cyber Response Team. This is being formed by my Min-Kitla organization, which is the Minnesota Counties IT Leadership Association. So it's made up of the county IT leadership from around the state of Minnesota. We are sort of basing this off of the Wisconsin model. And this is in its very early stages of formation. But to sum it up, what it is it's counties helping other counties if they experience a cyber incident. So this is both asking for permission to use their services, should we require them, and to provide volunteer services if that opportunity is required from that direction.
Any questions?
I do, Chris.
Commissioner Westerland?
So it's any county that would need our help, or do they have to be in the group
It is any county that has specifically agreed to,
to join this
correct.
partnership, I guess, or kind
That-
of
Exactly.
to help each other out, figure out stuff?
We do hope to expand it further
Okay.
later, possibly even expanding to a public-private partnership, but right now,
Just
because
kinda go with
it's
the flow.
Min-Kitla, it is restricted to
Kind of like our
counties.
VSEP for the cops.
Similar
except it's
idea.
Cyber.
Yeah, exactly.
So do
similar idea.
you, I see that is AMC part of this too?
Correct. Min-Kitla is
Okay,
a part of,
that's what I couldn't
yeah,
remember.
Min-Kitla is my AMC affiliate organization for
We
county
don't,
IT
is that a
leadership.
do they have are you on the policy committee of that?
Of
Do you know-
AMC?
Yeah?
No.
No,
I am on the Min-Kitla board, and I have been
Okay.
participating in the formation of the,
maybe they
MinCERT
should
too.
have a policy.
Mr. Chair?
David?
So many of the county associations like Min-Kitla or county administrators
McPisa.
or social services have affiliations with AMC.
Yep.
They don't have policy
Okay.
committee
Okay,
seats, but many of the policy analysts are the liaisons to the associations.
Okay.
Or to the affiliate associations. So yours is
Umbrella.
Nathan Zacharias.
that is correct.
Yeah, and so you'll
Okay.
see Nathan Zacharias from AMC at the policy committees.
Any other questions? If not, you've heard the request and the motion would be in order.
I'll make a motion. Oh, go ahead, I'll second.
Okay, Commissioner Carney moves approval, supported by Commissioner Westerland. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote. Commissioner Westerland?
Aye.
Commissioner Carney? Aye. Commissioner Sample?
Aye.
All two will support the motion. The motion carries.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thanks very much, Chris.
One thing I do want to add, just to make sure that this is perfectly clear, right now, we are not offering support as in we would not go into another county to put fingers on keyboards.
Okay.
This is an advisory role only. Thank you.
Good point.
Perfect.
Thank you, Chris. On to Environmental Services, Andrew Carlstrom. Welcome, Andrew.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, Commissioners,
Morning.
on this beautiful morning. So just a discussion item in front of you and just an update on the Northeast Minnesota Regional Solid Waste Plan. And again, only a discussion item, just wanted to update you on what's going on. As you're aware, in 2023, the 7 counties, as well as Western Lakes Superior Sanitation District, which is called Resource Renew. Now, that's kind of their new branding. we entered into an agreement rather than Aitkin County and all the individual counties writing their own solid waste plan. We combined together. We had great support and help from the MPCA, the Pollution Control Association. So then in 2025, under the direction of the PCA, amendments were made to update all of the individual county solid waste operations. And most of that is where is the solid waste going? As we know, that's lowest on the hierarchy, even though they want it to recycle, reuse, and reduce. The state of Minnesota, where they want to be carbon-free by 2040, I believe it was. Little was amended to Aitkin County's portion of the plan, and updates are found on 5-33. I'll go ahead and read those. This comment period, so there's an open comment period right now, and that's with the MPCA. And so following this, Aitkin County Board, you'll be deciding whether to adopt or reject the attached proposed amended plan, and as well as the attached draft resolution that I put together. And so our portion simply is 5-33. And it just says Aitkin County, it was just an update. Aitkin County, as you know, has established a new yard waste site behind the recycling center. That's getting used. We just opened it about 3 weeks ago, and it's already about a third full. So people are using it, the residents of the city of Aitkin. Yard waste management in Hill City, so we've budgeted some money. We're gonna be adding another canister site for recycling drop-off in Hill City. It's gonna be fenced and locked every night. We find that that's the best thing. We've also find about 5% people abuse and put garbage in there, things like that. Recently I've added a scrap metal dumpster out at the recycling center here in Aitkin, and it's being abused.
Yep.
People are dropping off riding lawnmowers, snow blowers. And so, but we have a good partnership with Garrison Disposal. We'll get that cleaned up and so forth. But it's about 5%. Most people do the right thing. So this area up in Hill City will be about 75 by 75, fenced in. As you know, in 2024, I believe it was, we did an urban curbside recycling grant where we tried to see if folks were willing to pay a very little sum of money to have curbside recycling service out in the rural areas. And we tried it, and the state reimbursed us, and I think it was good to just see if folks were. But the end state is most folks still don't want to pay for recycling. That's where we're at.
They're paying
and
for
so-
it anyway, aren't they?
Pardon?
Aren't they paying for it anyway? In some way, they're paying for it anyway.
In some way, they're paying for
Yeah.
it. And currently, the city of Aitkin, Garrison Disposal, and Waste Management offers curbside up in Hill City.
Okay.
So our two municipals. Yeah. So with that, I just wanted to open it up. If you had any questions of me, lot of information here. Yeah, it's quite thick. It's 100-some pages. So I don't know if you were able to look, but that's all I have for as far as just discussion.
Mr. Chair.
Yep, Commissioner Westerland?
So how often does your group meet?
They meet,
Is it 4 times a year?
it's more like 2 or 3 times a year.
Okay, so
Yeah.
is it Brett? Are you on that? And then I'm
Yes.
alternate? Okay.
Yes.
So when was the last meeting?
The last meeting was in December,
Yeah.
and it's usually up in
And before
Virginia.
that, it was probably the year before.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying that
Yes.
they're making decisions and we're not at the table. That's what's hard.
Yep, yep.
I mean, as far as I know. I mean, all of a sudden we have all this stuff that's coming through, so.
Yes, the changes are minimal, but yes, if you
Still.
definitely,
I mean, I was part of the group that we had in Carlton County. I know you were there.
yes, when I first
Talked
started.
about all the things that we could do and all the things we should stop and,
This group here is they call it the
Other one?
acronym Swooners, South,
okay,
yeah, solid waste.
solid waste.
There's a couple of acronyms there, and I still can't, been doing it for 5 years.
Many.
But yeah, so that usually doesn't involve the elected officials.
Yeah.
But it's usually that solid waste advisory role that we pull you guys in. Yep.
Okay.
But
Okay.
Commissioner Sample?
You talked about Hill City.
Yes, sir.
You talked about Aitkin. Talk to me about McGregor.
Talk about McGregor. Yes, good question. So we hire, we have a contract with Countryside Sanitation. They operate the county-owned recycling center just north of McGregor on Highway 65. They also operate their own transfer station down on south of 65 Rice River Township. So they do a great job. We've been in contract with them since 2010, I believe it is. And they do a great job. That's really the crux of the matter is they have a person on site to keep eyes on what goes in and out, and they do a great job with that.
Well, I see that you guys were expanding around that
Yes.
last year.
Yeah, it was actually the year before. Yes, sir.
And so what are we doing there?
Yes, good question, good question. So working with Jesse Halleck, the owner of Countryside Sanitation, to eventually take some yard waste there. And so that was the only footprint we were allowed. Both of our recycling centers are surrounded by wetlands. So we had to get wetland delineations for Aitkin and for McGregor. And we gained about 35,000 square feet in Aitkin, and we gained about 20,000 square feet in McGregor. So it'll fill up fast if they take, but I know Shamrock, they have a yard waste site. But we're always looking to, I guess that's the goal. I wrote down here, the goal of Aitkin County is to maintain as well as expand opportunities for waste reduction, recycling, reuse. Yes, sir.
David?
Mr. Chair, thank you, and just backtrack a little bit to a comment that Commissioner Westerland made about the decisions that are being made. One of the purposes of this presentation is to heighten awareness or make awareness of the comment period
Yep.
on the draft plan. And
Yes.
so that there's no decisions made,
Not
but the
yet.
comment period is open until May 11th. If people do have comments, they should submit those.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
I noticed I got an AMC update yesterday, and there's proposed, as I understood the legislation, appropriating money for solid waste. I don't
see that.
recall what that amount was,
Okay, I wasn't, I'd have to look.
if anybody had updates on that.
Okay. We have had an increase in our SCORE funding. We've got about 75,000, I believe, last year. It's been in the about 68,000. So and it's based on your population and stuff. And so that pays for about 45% of our costs to our solid waste budget. So we're grateful for it, but we're always asking for more.
Yeah.
If they want us to reduce, reuse, and recycle, then the state needs to ante up and help us out more.
David?
Mr. Chair, I found that update that you were referencing. And so the counties are advocating for $108 million for construction and demolition landfill transition, and also for $59 million for capital assistance program.
Okay,
So it sounds like those are items that are being proposed by AMC in the counties that are in the mix still.
and it didn't sound as though the governor was totally on board with that. That's what I kind of read between the lines.
Yes, those were not fully in the governor's budget.
Okay. Commissioners, any other questions?
I'd like to see a landfill in Aiken County.
We're so wet, though.
Yeah, but up by Jacobson,
An old gravel pit would work, right?
Well, doesn't Waste Management have a landfill with the old Woodrow gravel pit?
That's been retired. It's
Yeah,
been
so-
lined. Yep, that's where it was when I was a kid growing up here.
Yeah.
Was out, Woodrow's pit out there. But yeah, that's been lined and covered and to never be used again. Yeah, shut down. Aiken had a lot of, every township had one, 30, 40, 50 years ago. Yeah.
Now
Okay.
they just dump their stuff in the ditch.
County Road 12 between 47 and 210,
Yeah.
that was called the dump road.
Yes.
I mean, it was literally a dump that was on fire perpetually.
Forgotten Heroes was a dump.
Andrew, thanks very
Yes.
much. Good-
Yes, thank you, commissioners. Have a good day.
You too.
You too.
Just a reminder, Household Hazardous Waste Day this weekend. We'll be there from
it's this
from
weekend.
9
Oh, wow.
a.m. till 1
That was
p.m.
quick.
Yes, so it really was. And then Electronics Waste Day will be June 6th.
Okay, thanks for
Yep,
that reminder.
thank you.
Are we advertising that in the papers?
Yes.
Yeah, I've seen that,
I've seen it.
it's been popping up in the internet. I think on the Aitkin paper.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. On to economic development. Mark Jeffers, welcome, Mark.
Good morning, Mr. Chair,
Mark, on your way
Commissioners.
out, I've got something for you.
What's that?
On your way out, I've got something
I'll
for you.
take any gifts you guys have. That's awesome.
Gifts.
Oh, it's over here? Appreciate the time this morning. I wanted to give you a brief update on some things that have been going on in economic development in the last quarter. So we'll go through this quickly. Go for it. I appreciate it. Just to get everybody aligned on agreed upon priorities and reminded on our strategic priorities to drive change, promoting that recreation and tourism, improving broadband, which we'll talk about, supporting childcare, supporting career development, business retention, expansion, and attraction. That's a big one for us. And then supporting some housing initiatives, probably the top priority currently that we're working on. So you'll see some different things on there as we go through. But starting with housing, as I mentioned, it is one of the top priorities or the top priority currently. The Bunker Hill apartment update, you see the picture there as it progresses every week or every couple of weeks. You see some big differences there. That is planned to be open on August 1st. They are over, I want to say over 50% full. I don't have the exact number, but those were the latest numbers that I was hearing from there. They do have planned for the Bunker Hill Senior Complex, and that's projected for a 2027 opening. So that will start on the north side of that highway. The McGregor development that we've discussed previously is moving forward, though slowly. We're working through with the private ownership and the city to do a bunch of agreements on not tax abatement, sorry, on annexation for the city and that property, and it will move forward. So both sides are aligned on making it happen, which is a good thing to see. It's just taking more time than I like to see. I'm not a very patient person, so I like to see it moving quicker. But we continue to have progress, which is a good sign. One other thing that I should mention that's not on here, I have daily, weekly meetings with developers in our area on certain smaller housing projects or single-family projects or things like that that are going on. There are a couple to mention in Aitkin that are being looked at right now. There's one in Hill City, one in Palisade that would be a larger development that might come to fruition up there. So people are starting to talk about and understand that housing is a huge priority. They do all understand that we do have the opportunity to offer some funding to them for the right projects. And we're starting to see some of that come in, and the Economic Development Committee will be reviewing those things. So continue to move it forward and continue to push the envelope until we have all the housing that we need to satisfy Aitkin County. It'll be a long trip, but we'll get there. One other thing also is the HRA update. As we talked about or discussed before, the HRA has a technical assistance grant through North Shore Development, and they're working through a plan on how to better redevelop housing. We've had some questions sent to us, which we responded to. We've given all the information back, and we're working with Teresa over there to advance their progress on housing redevelopment. So you'll hear more on that as that technical assistance grant continues to move forward.
Mr. Chair?
Commissioner Sample.
Mark, we're talking about workforce housing, not Section 8 housing.
Absolutely, correct. Yep.
Thank you.
In this area for that redevelopment of workforce housing.
Thank you.
Sure. Moving on to the business retention and expansion. Just some notes, Aitkin County's experienced steady incremental growth driven by small businesses, driven by tourism and local investment. Our population, as you know, has been increasing in the last 5 years, up 3 to 4%. We're up over 16.5 right now, so people are coming to our area.
and finding it satisfactory and moving into our area. So we're seeing that increase. We have over 500 employers in Aitkin County with 1,100 self-employed businesses. So that's important to know. And you all are aware of the small business activity that we have that goes on in our area. It's very important to keep those on our list. And our economy is driven by small and local businesses getting the job done. Key growth drivers that we have, there's rise in remote work. We've talked about that. Expansion of tourism and the recreation economy. It is naturally better in Aitkin County, and it is catching on. Even Commissioner Sample likes that now a little bit.
A little
I
bit.
set
Speak
myself
for
up.
yourself.
I got it. Sorry, I didn't mean to put words in your mouth. Local grant programs are supporting reinvestment. So one of the things that I credit the commissioners and the Economic Development Committee is providing some additional funding that doesn't come from, levy or any of that. It came from ARPA dollars. We provide some support to jumpstart programs, to jumpstart businesses on getting things done that they probably don't have the funding to start. There's a lot of local businesses that are jumping on our revitalization program, and it's creating better looking businesses, better aesthetics out there, and they're doing bigger projects than just what we're offering funding support for, which is good to see. They're getting some of those older big projects that they've had planned done and using our money as a support for that.
And Mr. Chair, I'd just like to add that the economic development, we did the signage and the lights for the VFW. They took that and they cleared all of the trees out between the highway and the VFW because that gave them the shot in the arm to get the support to make it grow better. Now you drive over the overpass, you see the whole town. So, and it was local loggers
Nice.
that came out and said, we'll do this in kind donation because you guys are making the community better. So that's kind of the purpose of what this whole thing was all about.
It's very encouraging.
Yeah, very well said. Thank you for that. What growth looks like. There's a lot of conversations that go on a regular basis in economic development of what does growth actually mean? Do we grow without growing? Do we change without changing? It's a kind of an interesting process in economic development. But growth looks like to us small business startups and expansions, right? We have our staples, our large employers that we value and we know that we do everything we can to take care of. But again, our business and our local economy is built on the small business, and we'll continue to keep our eye on that. Downtown and storefront improvements, again, we mentioned the revitalization grant. I think it's doing a lot for our area and across our entire county. People are taking advantage of it, which is really good. And then increasing in events and tourism activity. We've got to continue that message that it is just naturally better here in Aitkin County.
And naturally better, how much money do we bring into our, and I forget the number, but what is it, 12 million, 14 million in revenue off our ATV?
ATV 16.8 million
16.8.
annually, direct economic development,
And
direct economic spending.
And does that also include the boats? The boats and our,
No,
No, that's strict ATV. The Northwoods ATV Trail study that we saw, 16.8 million coming on ATV alone.
I wonder how much the boating brings in.
There you go. There's another study for me to figure out and do some research,
and
but yes.
I always tell people that come up here to ATV, please buy your ATV license in Aitkin.
Yes.
That helps a lot. And your boats and all your fun toys, because they store them up here anyway. You might as well just come and buy your tickets here. I mean,
We have everything
buy
they need
everything
available.
online, they
Yeah.
come up on the weekend and nothing's open.
Yeah.
But I think it's important that they know that wherever you buy your ticket from, that's where who gets the money. The state gets some of it, but, well, most of it.
There you go.
But still, $1's a dollar.
So the bottom line on business retention, expansion, and attraction is we're seeing sustainable, resilient growth, more businesses, not necessarily large businesses, right? So we're not getting those large manufacturers in, but we are increasing in small business activity in Aitkin County.
I think you'll get your large businesses when you get to housing. I mean, we have the schools, we have the hospital.
Yeah.
We're perfect being an hour away from
Just want a
colleges.
quick trip here.
You like the donuts.
Forever the optimist, but I believe absolutely you're right. I think we've got all the pieces that are starting to come together.
Yeah.
And once we hit that last bit, then we're gonna see a good advance on larger businesses. I really believe that. Moving into broadband, a couple of big activities that I know broadband was an issue for us 4 or 5 years ago. Not as big of an issue at this point. We're up considerably on the numbers. 87% of our area right now has, state broadband activity measurements. But you're seeing some good projects continuing from our local service providers. Mille Lacs Energy is doing one in the Bay Lake and Hazelton Township area, a little bit in another county next to us, and Hazelton here, which is gonna connect to all of that McGrath project that we did 2 years ago. It'll connect all of that territory, so that'll be fully covered. And then Paul Bunyan up in the north area will be expanding it. This is a major expansion over into the McGregor, Tamarack areas over there. 2,400 homes are gonna be covered. They are currently covered by Midco, which used to be Savage, but it is not broadband, it's cable, DSL, or whatever you wanna call that fancy word.
Sucks.
And it will be moving to fiber from Paul Bunyan. So they're gonna be crossing territory, which is something that gets done on occasion, and they're gonna be offering a service that's different from what is over there now. That was a pretty big expansion. I think it made Representative Igo's newsletter even. So Aitkin County was on the board down there in Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Good.
Cover a couple of things on outreach, things that are going on, things that I've attended. I won't read each one of these for you, but you can see, if you take a look at that, you'll see throughout our county and the state of Minnesota, I'm trying to make Aitkin County known and get our name and face and things like that available, because that networking does bring back opportunity. Continue with MAPSED, which is the Minnesota Association of Professional County Economic Developers. They don't pay me to say that, but I get to say that every once in a while. So there's a lot of things that we need to attend to as economic development that create a network for opportunity. So organizations belonging to MAPSED, Norspan, I am on the ARDC commission, and Commissioner Carney, if you want any additional notes from the last meeting, I have those. We could discuss those when you get back. AMC Learning and Member Programs Committee, and still Aitkin Chamber of Commerce and the City of Aitkin Planning Commission. So it's trying to spread that name out there that we are trying to support everywhere in Aitkin County. And the focus on moving forward, it's always where do we go from here? For the next quarter, the priorities: completing the tax abatement update for senior complex. You have already authorized that. It's just a date change that'll have to come when we know those exact dates. Working with American Peat Technology to secure the funding for their expansions. We're talking with the IRRR. We've got the Job Creation Fund that's already in. So we're having conversations with APT on a regular basis to see how we can help them. We're gonna utilize those Housing Trust Fund dollars the best way that we possibly can. And I think you'll see a large amount of requests coming soon for developments in all areas. We do have the request in from the property in McGregor to be able to utilize some Housing Trust Fund. The committee's holding that off just a little bit until we get some more information, but we do have some things ready to go there. And then continue to support that McGregor project, as I just mentioned, moving forward.
So, Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Westerly?
The project in McGregor, is that in the city limits or?
Not currently. It
Okay.
is in a county, and it will be moving annexed into the city is what
Oh,
both
okay.
parties
So it'll
want
have
to
city water,
accomplish.
city sewer.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
Mr.
huge.
Chair,
Yep.
Lori, you know where the grocery store is? It's the 40 acres on the high ground
Oh,
right
okay,
behind it.
perfect. That'd be great. It's pretty wet though.
No, that's high up there.
It's wet everywhere.
Well,
So I don't have anything for you to approve today or request from you. I just wanted to give you some information. I appreciate the time.
Good update.
Yeah, any questions for me?
Commissioners? Thank you, Mark.
We didn't mention our Friday get-together. That didn't make the list. It was later
I'll
than that,
talk,
but,
I'll talk about that.
okay, good.
Hey,
Thank you.
naturally better, Mark. Does that make your day?
I appreciate it very much. It's my goal to hear you say it. One other person in our county says it, I'm gonna win.
3 times,
Yeah, there you go.
3 times.
Thank you.
Yeah. Mark?
He does, he does.
Yes, just come around if you're going back to your office.
Jim Bright is up next.
Yep, Jim, welcome.
I know you're doing it
I
today.
totally
Your
forgot.
resume.
I am not.
I'll be there about 15 minutes after the meeting.
Okay. I like it.
Here we go.
Good morning.
Good morning.
First thing I want to say is I'm very happy that the rain we had the last 2 days was rain and not snow. We have converted over to our mowing season. Took the sweeper off and I was like, boy, I hope this temperature holds. We don't end up with snow. So that was a good thing.
Didn't it freeze here last night? It
After
froze
the
at our
rain.
house. Yeah,
Yep.
after, yeah.
Yeah, so, yep. No, this is always the tricky time of the season. Is it gonna rain? Is it gonna snow? Are we done with snow? So hope we're done. So I would just like to give an update on the Health and Human Services project. Mr. Jeffers, has been taking pictures since the day the project started. So he has kind of put together a slideshow that April will be scrolling through here, just to kind of see where things are at, how it's changed. And the last week and a half to 2 weeks, if you're not in the project every day, it is changing rapidly. Things are moving right along, so that's a good thing. The end of last week, all the cabinets for the whole building are in. Tomorrow, they come in and they laser measure for the solid surface countertops. Flooring is done on second floor. They are working on flooring on first floor. We will start putting doors and all the hardware that goes on the doors on second floor starting tomorrow. Our next, we had a construction meeting yesterday. Our next construction meeting is May 11th, and at that May 11th meeting, after we're done, we will actually start doing our first preliminary punch list. We're getting that close with finishes. May 18th, we have our furniture scheduled to start coming in on second floor. A week later, it'll come in on first floor. May 7th, we are starting up the heating equipment. So things are moving right along. We have a little bit of a hiccup with exterior doors. One of the gentlemen that has been working on the project since day one abruptly left the company, so another gentleman has picked it up. So it's taken him a couple days just to kind of get back on pace, but I'm in contact with him daily, and those doors will start showing up hopefully in the next week, which we kind of had been holding off on the exterior doors anyways, just because contractors going in and out, we've left our old doors in to get beat up instead of putting the new ones in. So out front, in the next couple weeks, you'll start seeing the cement being poured for the ramp, for the front entry. So those were more weather dependent, so, but as you see, as you go through the pictures, there's each month you can start seeing the changes, and now, March and April, you can really start seeing the finishes come into effect. One thing that was here last time in the update, I had mentioned the condensing unit, that had gone from a February timetable to March to May to early June. The last update we got on it was October 29th. It will be here. So we scrambled a little bit, did some changes. We are gonna get a different manufacturer. That manufacturer, I have talked with, Climate Makers, who does a lot of our service work. The other manufacturer, they are able to get parts for it. Train is the new company we are gonna work with. We have a Train chiller. That made me concerned because our Train chiller, if we have to do any programming, they come out of the cities to plug in a computer for a grand total of about $3,500, and they're here for 5 minutes. I said, I don't wanna get into that situation. They said anything that's, under 20 ton of cooling, they do not have that system on there to program. It's something that we can take care of locally. So we're good to go with the train condenser. So that is on pace to be here the first part of June. So that'll be a good thing. That was the last item that we were concerned about, timeframes on. So, we will be, working on, an open house. We are gonna do it in one day, probably start at like 3 in the afternoon so that county employees can go through, and then run it until probably 7 in the evening so the public, can come through. And we will be doing that probably the second week of June. And then after that, we will start moving in, storage items. Couple weeks after that, we'll start moving in people that are working remotely, start working on bringing in, some of the other employees that are at some of the buildings, around town. So, yeah, we're starting to get that plan. Sarah and her team are working on the exact date, and, how it's all gonna work, and we have been starting meetings, how we're going to do the transition back into the building. So, it's moving right along. Things are going well. Commissioner Sample, you've been in construction, you know there's always little hiccups, but we've worked through them and things have been going very well. And, we haven't had those big dollar things that sometimes pop up on remodels. We've been able to avoid those, which, I give that credit to, a lot of it to Widseth. They spent a lot of time here before the construction started, before plans were even drawn. Actually popping ceiling tile, looking through old prints, actually measuring, checking on things, and I think they did a very good job of getting around some of those things, so that was a good thing. And then, of course, Contegrity Group, they've been fantastic to work with, and, I don't have the numbers down, but I can guarantee you that we have saved what their fee was, just in changes that they have caught and, helped us deal with. So it's been a good partnership. It's gone very smooth.
Mr. Chair. So the bottom line up front,
Yep.
where are we at on budget?
On budget, we are under budget, and we are holding our finish date, basically right on where it was when we started the project.
Nice.
So,
And kudos to you and Sarah for the hard work you guys have done.
it has been I don't know if Sarah will say the same thing. I may have irritated her once or twice an hour.
Well, but you're still alive, and I mean, you know.
Yeah, but it has gone very well. No, it's been a good partnership. It will be. I know Sarah is very much looking forward to getting back to just her one job instead of the job of constructing a building. But I think the end result is they're going to have a building that works for them, functions for them,
And is still on campus.
and is still on campus. That's
And coming under budget.
and coming in under budget. It's Aiken County, all employees in Aiken County, we're here for customer service. my customers are the employees. I'm not necessarily, my customers aren't necessarily the public, but by giving them a building that they can use, that is effective for their work, is efficient, that's the best way we can serve them, and I think, we have accomplished that. I'm hoping that all commissioners will be able to come through the open house, see some of that stuff, and then obviously, if you wanna come through before, take a tour, anytime, get a hold of me, I'll walk you through there. I've got a desk over at the HHS, cause I'm over there so much, so.
That's good.
And Sarah, you getting ready to build and design a new house after all this? No. And then one last question.
Yes, sir.
Where are we at in the boat and water garage?
So Thursday morning, John Welly and I are meeting to start putting documents together with all the pieces I've been collecting. And in May, I hope to bring forward the 2 buildings down at the fairgrounds and the boat and water to get them out for bid.
Awesome.
Where's Boat and Water going?
Right on the south campus down here.
Okay, so we switched again.
Nope, it's been there,
That was the
I
original.
thought it was
nope,
over by Aitkin Farm and Feed or whatever
Nope.
that is.
that's where it was.
That's
but
where
it's-
it was.
Yep, but we've always
That's where
been
they wanted it.
gonna,
and
yep,
Had another plan,
Well,
and another plan.
That went back and
I don't
forth.
sit on.
yep. So where the old Bolton Water building is, that's where the new, maintenance building is gonna go for the fairgrounds, so,
Good.
yep.
Good job.
Relative to the project, something that I really like seeing, even though some of the bidders were not the successful bidders, I see that they're doing a lot of subcontracting,
Absolutely,
the locals.
Those, yeah.
yep. Well, and it's, and we've had this discussion before, maybe the employer is out of Brainerd, but, for example, one of the electricians that was the lead electrician on this project, of the government center in the remodel, and is also over at HHS, used to live in Aitkin County, now has just moved just south, right down by Garrison, you know, is relatively local. We have been using, you know, local companies for our waste. We've been using local companies for, the portable toilets. There's other things that have popped up that we've needed quick. We've used Temco for a few things. So we have used local business, as much as we can in the process, even though they may have not gotten the original bids.
Okay.
So,
We like that.
yeah, yep, absolutely.
Any other questions? Thanks for the update, Jim.
All right, thank you.
Great job. Let's do a 7th inning stretch here, take about a 5-minute break.
7th inning?
In dog years.
Are you gonna play the take me out to the ball?
Yeah. That would drive everybody out, Brett.
I gotta leave, Mr. Chair. They're gonna be talking about me.
Oh,
Confidential information, Commissioner.
God, Mike's looking older.
we'll reconvene, call the meeting back to order. Next item would be HHS Director Sarah Pratt, and we're getting an annual report. Welcome, Sarah.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and members of the board. I am here today to present the 2025 Health and Human Services Annual Report. This is a different format than you have seen in the past. We decided to do a more comprehensive report showing you 3-year trends. This first page is just a presentation overview giving you an idea of the different topics on each slide. The next 2 slides I'm not going to spend too much time on because you have heard this information from both me and Health and Human Services employees. But Dave and I talked about this and felt it was important to link back the work that Health and Human Services did during the revitalization initiative and with Dr. Bill Brandell and how it relates back to the strategic plan. So as you remember, we did a psychological safety survey both in the years of 2024 and 2025, measuring 31 key factors across 5 key areas: organizational design, team dynamics, team learning, employee experience, and supervisor manager behavior, which is all on the graph in front of you. So in 2024, we had 57 participants, and in 2025, we had 52, which is a very good response rate for an anonymous survey.
It is, how come you dropped 5?
You know, it was during the time that we were moving and things were happening, and we had some turnover and in some of those things.
Okay, I mean, I was just curious.
Yep.
We dropped 5.
Right. Yep.
Maybe they moved.
Right. And so as you can see from 2024 to 2025, 4 of the 5 domains improved drastically and the 5th one improved as well, just not as drastically, which just really shows the cultural progress that HHS made. And it supports the strategic goal from the county of strengthening employee well-being, engagement, and effectiveness. So really linking back some of the things that Health and Human Services is doing to the strategic plan. One of the 3 primary goals in the strategic plan is talent acquisition, development, and well-being. So as you have been told in the past, all of Health and Human Services have taken the Clifton Strengths Assessment. Every new employee that comes in the door also takes that assessment. We have staff that were trained by Dr. Bill to train other staff. So when we have new employees coming in, they are trained in the Strength Finders to bring them up to the same place that the rest of us are at. So we keep that work moving. And so that's really been important to understand how people approach situations, career development and growth, and really identifying champions to do some internal training. So that's been really great. As we've talked about before, we also developed the 4 groups on the right-hand side of the slide. Those came out of the psychological safety survey. They're really employee-driven groups to work on job satisfaction, retention, and performance. So just a brief overview and reminder of those things.
And that's helped your team tremendously.
Tremendously. I think employees really feel good about the work that they've done. We've had other counties reach out to us and had meetings about the work that we've done, and we've had employees be able to talk about that work, and they're just so proud of it. It's really cool to see. So just really moving into the program areas of Health and Human Services. Now, I can't give you every single program area that we do, but these are the main ones. So moving into the behavioral health, this is our adult mental health slide. So this shows you the number of civil commitments we've had over the last 3 years and the active adult mental health cases we had over the last 3 years.
Are you seeing a decline due to COVID's over and people are getting out and able to socialize more?
Yeah, you can see from 2024 to 2025, we decreased a little bit in our cases. We're not seeing a huge decline, but it's staying about the same right now.
Okay, thank you.
Civil commitments definitely have dropped, as you can tell, from 24 to 25.
That's
Yeah.
what I was curious about.
And that was a good question. I think that question, Sarah presented this at the HHS Advisory Committee meeting last month and prompted a lot of good questions.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Just to follow up, Commissioner Sample, so the active mental health cases, how good of a proxy are they for general mental health?
What is, I don't
I
understand.
mean,
the
I guess
question.
because I think your question was generally mental health, is it improving post pandemic?
Right,
And
because I'm
the-
watching civil commitments and active adult mental health cases.
And these
is-
are a pretty small slice
Slice
of
of-
the whole mental health universe. I don't know if that's a good representation of the general population or
Well,
not.
exactly, and I think if you see our community health needs assessment, you see that mental health is still priority. We're still seeing high scores of suicide ideation, depression. So it's hard to gauge off of these numbers to really show what our how our community is impacted. But it's one representation, one part of the pie.
And I mean, I look at that and we just lost another veteran, not in this county,
Yeah.
to suicide. And, you know, that to me talks about how we are so far, we kicked the can down the road on that,
Right.
mental health. And
So Sarah, is the sexual predator on this same thing?
They are,
Sure, a lot of them.
I'm not sure if they're a part of the mental health caseload numbers. I'd have to ask Rebecca how we
Is
calculated
that is
that.
like a total different,
They are part of our caseload. They are part of mental health. We do have
because they're part of probation, they're part of,
we do case manage the ones that are in St. Peter, Moose
Okay.
Lake. Yes,
Okay.
we do case manage those as well. They're just not, we don't have the same threshold as we are required to do in the mental health cases. So
Okay.
I'd have to check if they're in this number. If I made a guess, I'd say no, but I don't want to say,
okay, that's okay. I mean, I'm just saying that's
yep,
and
considered a mental health.
it is.
Mr. Chair, kind of going away from this for a minute because of what Lori just brought up. What's going on with the state? When they let these people out of prison, they're not even notifying our local law enforcement. The sexual predators are moving into neighborhoods without,
Because there's nobody in charge.
exactly.
They're all
I just-
retiring and getting the hell the heck out.
Well, I had that thought in my
Yeah.
head. I didn't want to lose it. I'm sorry. I didn't mean it.
No
mean to
worries,
interrupt.
Commissioner. I think it's a valid point.
Brett, you should run for governor.
I'm done with politics in 2 years and 6 months.
Oh, jeez.
So moving on to our comprehensive reentry, this is our jail social worker. So this shows the amount of our inmates that have accepted services and declined services. This is a area where we want to look at getting some more data points to analyze the good work that our jail social worker is doing and really look at the outcomes and what we're doing to benefit. This is a goal across Region 5+. It's not just in Aitkin County. We share this through the AMHI. So we really want to look at this program and start to get some better data points. But this is what we have for now. I know Dave looked at this and said, what is this telling me? And I said, well, it's an area that we need to work on, but this is the data we have now.
Okay, so question about that. So we have HHS involved in the probation area, right? For the jails, or what is HHS doing in,
So
because we
this,
have a doctor, we have a nurse, we have all these people in there.
yep. So this person is a social worker assigned to the jail to help do coordination of services, referrals to mental health, referrals to substance use.
Okay.
Trying to just help.
Corrections doesn't do any of that.
They do, but when they're in the jail, sometimes they might be from different counties too, and so,
Okay.
yeah.
Seems like it's doubling up on, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
I don't know what probation's role is when they're in the jail. I'd have to
Okay.
ask Cammie
Okay.
those questions, but I know the work that we do is really coordinating those services for the inmates to reduce them coming back into the jail.
And does that employee work right in the jail, have their office right there?
Honestly, during the relocation, yes, he had been kind of bouncing back and forth. His name is Nick Anderson. He's been permanently housed in the jail during the relocation. It's been going well. So I don't know how we'll work it moving back in, but right now he's in there full time. But it's not his only job either. He does adult protection and some other work too,
Okay.
which is a good combo. But good question. I think we need to identify better kind of what probation's role is.
Yeah, I
you
mean,
know.
duplication of services
Yep.
is what I was looking for, and it's like, I don't know.
And, Mr. Chair, and I would try to frame it as collaboration of
Correct.
services,
Yeah,
right?
correct.
We're all within the same county, and so as people come through our system, I think this position is key in making sure that those inmates don't get lost when they leave jail, so that they end up, without homeless, without the supports that they might need,
Yeah.
and then within days or weeks, they're back in jail.
You know, and
Rotating door effect.
Yeah, and so that's, and the correction
got nowhere to go.
officers, their skill set is not helping people transition and, find the supports on the outside, which is where the social worker has a role.
And who knows the reason that they're in the jail? Are they assigned to a probation officer? What does that look like? So this is to really help them reduce them coming back in, committing more crimes, those sorts of
Which
things.
is what you're both doing,
Right.
which is in a
Right.
different way.
Right.
And are you guys seeing that work? You guys seeing success rates? How do you measure success?
Yeah, we really want to try to measure recidivism to see how many inmates are coming back through the system. Like I said, our data is not quite there yet. I'd also like to measure how are they coming back? Is it through the jail? Is it through a commitment? Is it through, so there's a lot of work I'd like to do in this area regarding data. It's just not there yet.
No, I get it.
Yep.
But I'm just saying, I mean, to me, you take somebody that drinks, they quit, and they'll probably have 4 or 5 relapses in the first 3 to 5 years,
Yep.
Before they even
Think about it,
think about it and grow up.
want to help themselves.
I think it's beneficial we have sobriety court. I think it's beneficial we have those 2 new sober homes. I think it's beneficial that we've been getting some of those services in that can help. We have those new beds for adult mental health. We just have some things that we've put in place to hopefully support people when they are released.
However, if you had 70 people in jail, would we still be offering these services? Because that's a lot of people.
I think we would. I mean, I know other counties do. I mean, maybe we add another person. I don't know what that looks like, but it's a very successful program across the region.
Get it? What's it look like on our budget?
Exactly.
Right now, this position is mostly paid through the Adult Mental Health Initiative.
Yeah.
So,
Perfect.
next slide is our adult protection services slide. So it's the amount of reports received, number of cases opened, and the number of cases that have met the threshold for emergency protection.
Wow, that's going up.
Moving into our child and family services programs, these are the amount of kids that have been served through our children's mental health case management. So you can see, kind of to your point, Commissioner Sample, we're seeing more kids from 23 to 25 that have come through for mental health. So,
By the way, that young man that you helped me with a couple years ago is doing tremendous.
that's fantastic. It's nice to hear the success. The next slide is our licensing services. So the amount of our child care providers, adult and child community residential beds, adult family foster care beds. When I was preparing for this presentation, I realized we didn't put child family foster care in the presentation. So moving forward, we'll do that. But currently we have 6 family child foster homes and 1 relative only home. So the difference between family foster and residential is a family foster is usually in a home setting by the homeowner. That's the person that's providing the supervision. Services are kind of coming in and out of the home. Residential is more a group home setting where there's rotating staff. It's more of a business managed by a business owner, and then the services are, provided inside and outside of the home. So just a little bit of the difference there.
And I think we just need to mention that we need more foster homes.
Yeah.
And kudos to the people that are fostering children.
Yes, we definitely do.
Awesome.
Yep. And as you can see, our childcare providers have dropped, and I know Mark Jeffers has been here talking with you about that as well. This is our child protection numbers, number of reports, number of kids that have entered and exited foster care, and then the number of children that have been in out-of-home placement. Sometimes numbers are deceiving when you have out-of-home placement. Just because numbers have dropped a little bit doesn't mean they're not large sibling groups, doesn't mean they're not complicated cases, doesn't mean they don't have a lot of needs. So sometimes numbers don't always tell the whole story, but. Moving into our home and community-based services program. So this slide is mostly the under 65, but it could be the over 65 because some of our waiver programs such as CADI and developmental disability could have an over 65 person. But the first one is our Min Choices assessments. I know you have heard that term a lot. You're hearing about it in the legislature. We just talked about a position that we're hiring for because of this. So you can see our numbers just in Aitkin County from 2023 to 2025. That is across the state. These numbers are increasing like that. We also wanted to show you the amount of hours spent doing those assessments. We feel that just showing you a number of a case does not tell you the story. This shows you how many hours are spent doing those assessments.
Months.
They are super intensive. Also showing you the number of persons served by a disability waiver and the hours documented in those case management work groups.
Mr. Chair?
David?
Sir, just a follow-up. So the hours peaked in 2024, but the case numbers seem like they're growing year to year. Is that because you're getting more efficient at spending less time per case, or are you just running behind on adequately serving all of those cases?
So let's see. I would,
Or it might be some other combination of factors.
so ask the question again. So the numbers are saying about this are
I'm just
increasing,
curious,
but
how, should there be a straight line correlation between the number of cases and the hours?
potentially, I mean, there could be a lot of different reasons for that. I mean, there's been so many changes with CFSS, PCA. Sometimes that creates more, sometimes it could be we have staff that are here longer and are more efficient because when you're learning, and we have that turnover, it takes longer. Could be a lot of different factors, but that's a very good question that we should look at.
It could be just the catch-up piece, when you had to all renew all that stuff and
Right.
just throw it in the mix.
Yep, and some of those are reassessments that take less time than new assessments, so it kind of depends on how many new versus how many some of those things all play into that too.
Well, and that goes by the numbers you're talking
Yeah.
about. And I get Dave's point, in 2024, you had 299 assessments, almost 9,000 hours. 25, you had 81 more cases.
Yep.
And
They just got better at it.
What I think what's nice about this is you guys will see the overview, and then my supervisors are coming in with program presentations, and so we can take these questions and really dive into them specifically during those programs. So I'll definitely take that back, because I know Kim Larson is gonna be coming in with a presentation regarding these things.
Good.
So, yep. No problem. These are our over 65 only. Again, Min Choices, elderly waiver, people that are in family residential and customized living, also people that we have on care coordination who live in the nursing home. So just giving you some numbers of the people that we serve. Moving into our financial assistance programs, this slide shows the monthly average of individuals receiving medical assistance, general assistance, emergency assistance, and childcare assistance. This slide shows the number of benefits issued per month for these specific persons for the Minnesota Family Investment Program and Supplemental Nutrition Assistance, which is SNAP. So Minnesota Family Investment is food and cash together. SNAP is food only. They're not duplicative. They get one or the other. So I knew that question would come. So,
knew it was coming.
oh yeah. This shows our medical assistance annual estimate spending for the last 3 years, number of persons receiving housing support, And then the average number of cases that we have in financial across all program types per month. So just showing you the caseload sizes.
Mr. Chair, if I may,
Sure.
when we look at how much these people are getting, okay? Before we give them financial assistance, have we already used Lakes and Pines
Correct.
and everything else?
Yep.
This is where they couldn't get assistance anywhere else, so we're not, like Lori says, we're not duplicating.
Right.
We're not giving them money, then they're going to Lakes and Pines.
No.
Then they're going to
No.
Lutheran Social Services.
No.
Well,
This
they-
is after they've went
They
through
can go get
everything.
heat assistance from Lakes and Pines, and they can get food assistance from you, but I mean, they have certain programs that,
Yep. Jessie Goebel again will be coming into, but she's been asked this question many times, and her response usually is, they do collaboration with Lakes and Pines. Emergency assistance is after all other avenues have been explored. Of course, medical assistance isn't offered through Lakes and Pines, that's
Right.
through the county.
Right.
But all other avenues are explored for emergency assistance before they're able to receive. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
But again, another question, we can dive in more program-wise when Jessie is here. Moving on to child support, this shows the amount of child support cases, the amount of dollars that was collected for families. The graph on the right shows the percentage compared to the state average. Right now, there's not necessarily a requirement of what the percentage should be. But what I wanted to show with this slide is we're either at or above the collection rate compared to the state average. So we're doing very well when it comes to our collection rate.
so I have a question about this. Do all counties do their own child support and not the state anymore?
Yes, it's all
It's all county driven?
correct,
And then we pay the state?
correct.
Love it.
What percentage do we get? I mean, if we're
well,
doing
they-
the state's work,
Work as usual.
We get a federal
Yeah.
reimbursement of like
Yeah.
66.6. I mean,
It's
there is.
state and federal.
It's very highly reimbursed, this program, by the federal, by the
And then
federal.
Pays for the person.
What was that?
It pays for the person.
Basically, it pays for the
Basically.
person, yes.
Yeah.
We're the
That we
collection
hire.
agency.
Yep,
Yep.
yeah.
yep.
And then
So-
how do you stay on top of it when they move to St. Louis County or Anoka
You
County?
just pass it on to them.
Yep. And again, Julie will be coming in, we'll dig into those more details,
Yeah.
but yes, this is a mandated program that has been, given by the state to the counties to do. It is highly reimbursed, and so there isn't.
Well, it wasn't always mandated.
It always has been.
I think
I think it
probably
is.
25 years ago it wasn't.
No, it always has been.
Okay.
Yep, yep. Did you have something to say, Dave?
I'm sorry. I'm trying to think, but it's an irrelevant comment.
Don't think.
Yeah, it's an irrelevant comment. Thank you. though.
It is.
I should just not look at him because he gives me those looks and then I'm
I
like,
know.
okay, what is his brain thinking? Moving on to the public health prevention programs. These are just showing the children served through our follow-along programs, our child and teen checkups, the number of home visits we've done, and just the reimbursement that we receive for our billable services. So when we talk about public health, we can bill for services, and that shows you what we can bill for. This is our children's dental services, so number of clinics held in Aitkin County, the number of kids and adults served. Sometimes Aitkin County citizens might go to another clinic. It doesn't mean they haven't been seen here. Maybe they came here for a cleaning and then they need a cavity to be fixed. It's gonna be too long before they come back to Aitkin, so they go to Itasca for a follow-up. So, that's some of what that could be. Or they need to be served prior to, us being there, or the clinic being available.
So Sarah, do all the dentists cover that? I mean, do they take, it's like a MA, isn't it?
Yes,
But not all dental offices take it, do they?
no,
No, so that's the problem,
yeah.
because they gotta go far away to find one.
Yeah, so I think these
Paperwork.
clinics have the appropriate
Capacity to do
providers,
it,
yep, yep.
Yeah.
The next program is our WIC. This shows the WIC dollars that's been redeemed in Aiken County and the Aitkin County participants that might have used their WIC in another store in Minnesota, the number of clients served, households served, and average caseload. You'll see it's interesting, our household number has dropped, but our participants have increased. So Erin and I were talking about this yesterday, and she actually pointed that out. And that might mean our households are getting bigger. You know, that could be part of what that is. Disease prevention and control, these are our vaccination clinics, just showing you number of clinics, number of locations, people vaccinated, and again, kind of showing you the reimbursement dollars. Opioid settlement, Commissioner Sample sits on this subcommittee, and so that shows the number of funding applications received, approved, amount of funding that's been spent in the calendar year, and the total amount of funding spent.
By the way, she does a great job.
Yeah. Yeah, this is ran really, really well.
Who's doing it?
Kelly Crowler?
Oh, Kelly, yeah.
She does an excellent job.
Yes, she does. She was we were excited to get Kelly, for sure. This is our SHIP program, Statewide Health Improvement Partnership. Hannah's came here before, did a lot of different presentations. Shows you the financial support to community partners, the amount of dollars spent through the food hub. In 2025, we started an outreach program packet with like dried fruits and canned goods. Already, I think that slide's kind of it doesn't show the number, but in 2025, we already gave out 446 packets. Wow. That's considerable when there's food shelves, so that shows the need. This is our tobacco prevention. So as you know, we are required to do compliance checks on tobacco establishments to ensure that they're not selling to underage. That just, the Congratulate and Educate is a prevention program that we go in and just do some training and education. And compliance is where they would receive the penalty if they had sold. So this shows you how many had sold to underage buyers in both areas.
So, Sarah, do we have something for the cannabis people? Or the liquor stores that are selling the cannabis drinks?
We do have a cannabis ordinance and we do have penalties. I can't speak to the exact details on that, but we do have
But do we have a program that
we
goes
do
in
have
and checks
compliance
it?
checks for
Okay,
cannabis. Yep.
cool.
Thought it was important to show our staffing for the last 3 years. This just shows the number of positions that I have in my budget, how many have retired, how many have resigned, how many I've hired. I can tell you every single time a position becomes available, I look at that position with my supervisors. We talk about, do we need this position? Should it be where the vacancy is? Is it best used somewhere else, or do we need it at all? So I can tell you we have very lengthy conversations when vacancies are open. So you can see that there have been times we have not replaced, and then it also shows you maybe some new positions I might have added because of need. This is our financial recovery program, just showing collections for program overpayments, agency claims, our medical assistance, estate recovery, and the incentive dollars that we receive for the sale of the homes.
Is that like the fraud unit? No? Kinda?
No, this is more for,
Mistakes?
well, yeah, I mean, mistakes, but a lot of it's recoupment for, if
pay
people's
the
estates,
person.
if they're on medical assistance and some of those things. This is our budget slide. Carly comes in every year, gives you a very thorough presentation. This is just an overview of our annual budget, our expenditures, revenues, and deficit. In 2025, the major discrepancies for our expenditures is our COVID grant ended. We had to spend it down. Out-of-home placement ended up being higher than we thought. Very hard to track that. We do look at trends, but it's very difficult. And of course, it's our building project that we have to show in the expenses. Our revenues, again, a COVID grant, and then we received more for MA estate recovery. So you can see the net deficit of a little over $1 million, mostly due to our building. That has to show that way on the books.
So, actually, we didn't lose $1 million.
No.
It's just the way it's carried on the
Yeah,
books.
it looks concerning when you see it.
Actuarial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, has the state paid us back?
So we have an update. Dave and I are so excited about this update. So Carly, Carly has been working diligently on this.
Calling him every day.
There's just been a lot, and so we're at our final step.
Good.
Where we are doing that we know of, that we are like she has to put all the invoices that we've spent out and get the checks to start the reimbursement process. So we've done everything else. We're just now starting to work on the reimbursement. The money's there. They told us it's there. They guaranteed it's there. So we just are working on reimbursement.
Okay.
So did you tell them we wanted cash and not a check? We'll go down and pick up the
Tax-free.
cash.
Yeah. So we're working on the reimbursement process. It's in the works.
I'll sleep better when the money is in the bank.
Yeah. We're closer. And he said, you guys have been in contact with us. I have no concerns. The money's allotted for you. It's just jumping through the hoops. So,
Yeah.
but Carly did a really great job.
And this, just an FYI, was a major topic of discussion at yesterday's budget committee meeting.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
I mean, to me,
It's coming
it
fast.
seems like when you need something from the state, it's like going and asking mom or dad for a $10 bill.
Mr. Chair, I don't know about Commissioner Sample's parents, but it was a lot easier for me to get it from the parents than the state.
Yes,
100%.
Good point.
and it wasn't easy getting it from the
No,
parents.
no.
I only have a couple slides left. I'm probably a little bit over time. I apologize. It's a pretty lengthy presentation. Dave and I talked a lot about this presentation. We really felt it was important to talk about the risks and challenges moving forward. So I wanted to highlight HR 1, the one big beautiful bill, and the impact to Health and Human Services. So there's the SNAP benefit cost share based on payment error rate. So that is not on our Aitkin County error rate, which was 0% in 2025. It is on the Minnesota state error rate, which was 10% in 2025. So that would be $368,000 for us annually. However, this one is in the governor's budget to potentially take back for the state to cover. So hopefully that happens.
Because, correct me if I'm not understanding, we get one case. How high does our error rate go?
Yeah, I mean, for instance, in 2024, we did have an error rate of 21%, and that is because of one case or because of our low numbers.
Yep.
So it speaks nothing to the work that our people are doing. It's the outdated system, which is on there as well. It's the low number of cases is just how it's calculated, and that's the hard part.
But if we were St. Louis County,
Right,
one case is nothing.
right. So
But we get penalized by being in a smaller, one case is 21%.
yeah.
God forbid if you have 3 cases.
Well, and we see that across the board. We see that in our child protection, ICWA.
Not 3 into
You know, we
8.
see that in our, a lot of our performance measures with our small numbers.
Yeah.
It just gets hard. And we've talked to the state about that, like us small counties with these small numbers. It is hard for us, but
And Mr. Chair, just noting that the error does not always mean what it sounds like it means.
Right.
It doesn't
Right.
mean there was fraud. It doesn't mean that there was money lost or paid that shouldn't have been, or that there's anything wrong. It means that there may have been a key, data entry error. There may have been a failure of a client to report timely on their income. And then at the end of the day, everything is made right. It still counts as that error.
It's a formula.
So what would you tell a legislator, whether it be Spencer Igo or Ron Creasha or Senator Wiesenberg or Senator Farnsworth, what would you tell them you need changed to make it fair, more fair for the small county? To me, they don't hear it.
Yeah, I think it's how it's calculated, you know. Dave, do you have thoughts on that?
Well, I would say that don't attach a financial penalty to this error rate that isn't specific to improving the behavior.
Correct.
So if you want to reduce errors in the system, improve the technology.
Right, because our technologies, we're way behind that.
The green screen?
Yeah, and that's on there as well. We have, so just moving a little forward and then we'll get to that. There is gonna be a cost shift change. The federal government for SNAP administrative costs would provide a 50% cost shift. They're reducing that to 25%. We already saw that it started federal fiscal year 2027, so we saw that in the 2026 budget. But that's about a $85,000 decrease in our budget. So that is not in the governor's budget as far as I know. The only one that's in there is a benefit cost share. So that will be a hit.
Well, that's federal, isn't it?
Right, but the benefit cost share, he did put in the governor's because, you know, it's, you know, federal and it's going back to the state. So he did put the benefit one in, just not the admin shift. There's extra work requirements for SNAP and Medicaid. The governor's budget also includes maybe doing the work requirements for Medicaid, but not SNAP. There's more frequent eligibility requirements. And then outdated systems, which we just talked about, is duplication of work and errors. As you know, we did a demonstration for some of our legislators. Commissioner Sample was involved with that for our green screen. There is $70 million that I'm aware of that's in one of the Health and Human Services bills for this modernization. It's looking promising. I don't, you know, but.
But
So-
then it comes back to, here's my question to you, Sarah. $70 million. By the time you get it divided amongst 87 counties and us being one of the smaller counties, by the time we get our chunk, is it peanuts?
Well, that $70 million really is to redo the system that every county would work in. So it
Okay.
would benefit every county in the same way, honestly.
So what
Yeah.
happened to the 200 million, that was the down payment? That's what I heard. It's like, no, we don't want just $70 million for because that ain't gonna cover what we need,
Right.
you know?
We
We
had
just need a
rec-
down payment of like 200,000
Yep.
or 200 million, and then whatever we need after that.
We had received some money, I think, last year for SSIS. And so, I mean, it's just moving along as best as we can and trying to fix some of these programs.
Yeah, so, Mr. Chair, there's multiple programs.
Yep.
And there's been multiple funding identified and in some cases approved by the legislature.
Okay.
And most of these programs are eligible for a match by the federal government. So for that SSIS, 70 million, I think it was from a session or two ago, that should generate a 100% match by the federal government. So it should be $140 million available to invest in upgrading SSIS. And so these other programs should, I believe, get similar federal matches, but it's a state-driven upgrade. And it will be, best case, years before there's anything, you know, in the office that Sarah's folks are gonna be using that's a result of these current funding requests.
And you know, here's my concern. A few slides ago, we had 7 people leave, not retirement. Is that the burnout?
I think some of it's burnout. I think some of it's been circumstance. We've had people that have their family situations have changed. They moved to another county. Some of it, they've moved to the state where they can work full-time remote, have higher wages. I mean, so it's across the board.
No, I get it, but as we talk about the green screen
Yeah.
and all the extra work that these people are doing, it's gotta affect them at some point.
Well, it's hard to hire because especially, we have the younger generations.
They don't know how to use those.
They don't want to come into a green screen and they look at it, what is this?
Yeah.
You know? So it's harder to hire for that position and it's a lot to know
So
in that position.
I'd say go to the elementary school. That's what I do.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. The other thing that's coming in 2027 is the Minnesota African American Preservation and Child Welfare Disproportionality Act. So that's gonna cause some changes in potentially staffing. They have to have required training 6 months before implementation. There needs to be resource development. There's still unclear definitions and guidance, so not really sure what the definition of disproportionality is yet and how that might affect Aitkin County. Significant administrative burden on counties regarding what's called a case review. Now, there's talks about that case review going back to the state, which would be ideal. If it's the counties have the case reviews, that would be problematic. And then it's the requirement of active efforts for any case that meets this statute. And so I want to tell you, so in most child protection cases outside of ICWA, it's reasonable efforts. So say reasonable efforts is providing a list of substance abuse treatment centers. Active efforts is scheduling the assessment, arranging the transportation, and ensuring the provider is culturally appropriate. So you can see the difference in the amount of work that would be between.
And if you don't have a provider, what do you do?
Right, and that's our problem here.
Yep.
That's our problem here. Our staff will be doing most of this work, if not all.
Mr. Chair? Sarah, you, on an earlier slide, noted that there were 35 children in out-of-home placement in 2025. Do you know how many of those are receiving active efforts?
I do not, but it's a very good question that I think, again, we can do in a program presentation, because Jesse Schultz will also
But
be.
it'd likely be very few.
Very few, yes. I think some counties, and I would have to talk to Jesse, some counties just do active efforts anyway, so,
They're ready.
but I think Jesse could speak better to that when she comes and does her program slide.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay, sorry. And then just potential cost shifts and revenue changes in the home and community-based program. Last session, remember, we talked about those waiver cost shifts that could potentially be going to the counties. There was a subcommittee developed last session. There have been 14 cost savings identified. However, they have to go through all the CMS approval and all of that. So hoping that's gonna be approved prior to any of those shifts coming to us. So I have no idea right now what that will look like. There's also a change in our change in our min choices reimbursement in 2027. So we don't know what that's gonna look like yet. As you know, there's an increased number of assessments. And then we have increased care coordination cases due to some health care plan changes. So we're seeing staffing changes all over the place in home and community-based services.
I'd like to see you come back in June, because there's only 5 weeks left of session down there. When we know what we get and what we don't get,
Yep.
I'd love to have this conversation in June where we know the money.
What went through?
Yeah.
and what
Yes,
didn't.
no, for sure. Dave and I can talk about that and see if we can get something. Last slide is, again, just some of the challenges, staffing with Minnesota paid family leave. It's very, it's a good program for employees, very hard for us as employers to cover when that happens. New mandates in financial and child protection and increased need in home and community-based. And then just some things in the governor's proposed budget, again, proposed budget. He's talking about transitioning the Medicaid program from multiple managed care organizations to a single statewide administered program. That would eliminate things like Blue Cross Blue Shield, Medica, those.
Statewide, that's a problem when you have a big fraud street.
Yep.
It's really a big problem.
Yeah, so that, we'll see what goes on there. Shifting some medical assistance eligibility responsibilities back to the state by 2028. Funding a study for all Medicaid eligibility processing to be transferred back to the state. They're saying the state will manage the new medical assistance work requirements. They're reforming waiver case management by phasing out contracted case management by 2031. I can tell you we don't contract out waiver case management. Not an issue for us. We've talked about it, haven't done it. A lot of counties do it. will be very problematic for some of those bigger counties that do this. Funding for outdated technology systems such as Maxis. There is talk about adding staffing at the state level to address the backlog of min choices assessments across the state. So they're talking about hiring like 50 staff to do. I do not think that will benefit Aitkin County at all. It's going to be eaten up by Anoka, Ramsey, Hennepin, some of those with,
And more growth than state government.
yep,
They don't need any more
yep.
committee.
It's a good concept in theory, but we'll see. And then just really conducting a comprehensive study on the role of the state, counties, and tribes administering our human services programs for some recommended changes in the 2029 session. Again, all of these are proposed and would have to pass individually through, except for the study. And I could see that the study is most likely gonna happen, and I think AMC supports the study. So that's my presentation. I'd like to thank my supervisors who worked very hard to give me the data, who work very hard every day to keep everything rolling, and they do such a great job. On top of everything else that's coming down with legislative changes, turnover, our building. I mean, I just think my supervisors are fantastic and deserve a kudos. I also would like to say, with the building project, I would like to compliment Jim Bright. I would not know how to do a project like that without somebody like Jim Bright. He has been extremely collaborative. We've worked really well together, and I just appreciate him and his team very, very much. So.
Good.
And I'd like to tell your staff, thank you for working remote and VF and another building and it's gotta be a nightmare for you trying to stay on top of it all and your supervisors.
Yeah. My supervisors have just rolled with the punches and they have done such a great job, and staff have rolled with the punches. I think there might be things we miss about the VFW and Aitkin, you know?
Nothing.
So,
They'll miss. I
but
already know that.
yeah, but we're all ready to be back in one spot for sure.
That's
So,
good.
but any questions, comments?
Great report, Sarah. Again, I always pick up something new the second time through.
Yes. The advisory was, lots of questions, but it was good preparation for today, so.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you again, Sarah. Great job. On to the first quarter budget report, Administrator Minke.
Well, thank you. So you should be familiar with these same 4 slides that I used last time. They're just updated with new numbers. And as of yesterday, we are officially working in 3 different budget years. So the 2025 audit is ongoing. 2026 is the year we're in, and as of yesterday, the 2027 Budget Committee, or the Budget Committee started their first meeting for the 2027 budget. So there's always something interesting going on when it comes to the budget. This first slide just looks at the 3 main funds, the general fund, road and bridge, and health and human services, and then all funds combined. Revenues and expenditures. Everything looks about as it should. The only thing on this chart that probably jumps out to you is Health and Human Services. Looks like it's spending ahead of schedule. And Sarah touched on that. There's about $1 million of building costs that are legitimate expenditures that are unbudgeted in 2026. So they make the graph look higher than it otherwise would, but that is not a concern.
No.
The second slide, chart number 2, these show the revenues in the general fund departments that have at least $100,000 of department level revenue. So there's not a whole lot of them. And on this chart, the assessor kind of jumps out a little bit. They have almost all of their revenue already. That's driven by they have assessor contracts that are paid early in the year. Otherwise, everything on that chart looks about, as you would expect it at the first quarter. Chart number 3 looks at the general fund departments that have the expenditures in the general fund departments. A few of them are over 25%, so not necessarily bad at 25% through the year, but they're driven by like the assessor's office, recorder's office, sheriff's office. They're a little higher than 25%, driven by one-time payments for, might be a software or a contract that's paid early in the year. And so no concerns on any of those. And then the last chart looks at the Health and Human Services Fund, a little closer by major division. It's public health, income maintenance, social services, and then total overall. And this is where you can see it's apparent that expenditures are tracking for all of the divisions, and then when you look at the total, it's like, how can it be more? And that's those capital expenses for the building that are driving that up. But at the end of the first quarter, everything looks good. The budget seems, we're
it should.
tracking on the budget, and we haven't found any unbudgeted concerns.
Awesome.
Questions, commissioners?
None.
Yep, good snapshot.
Thank you.
Next item, committee updates. Commissioner Westerland.
Ready for this?
And,
I don't have that
Mr.
much.
Chair, Commissioner Carney had texted that he has another commitment in a little
Oh.
bit. I don't know if.
Okay,
if you-
Commissioner Carney, committee updates.
Yes, thank you. I hate to break away.
Bless you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Westerland.
Yeah, so ACA. We had a lot of stuff going on. John Ongaro reported a whole bunch of things for the state, but nothing is certain. It's all up in the air. I haven't gotten the minutes yet back from Barb. So I was hoping thought I didn't get them. Maybe I did. Anyway, we are still talking about disbanding the ACA, the association, or the Arrowhead Counties Association. We have a few commissioners that are willing to step up and do a few things. You know, we won't have a secretary, we won't have a lobbyist. I think it's gonna be kind of difficult. We're not in a joint powers, so I think there's like maybe a little over $2,000 for each county that would get back. St. Louis probably would get more, but they just feel like it would be easier to get a legislator into the actual room to talk to the ACA group. I don't know. So we're meeting in May. If anybody wants to come with, that would be fine too. You know, not really a whole lot going on. I know the district meeting will be in Lutzen. We talked a little bit about that, about the little Caribou Lodge, place. However, April gave me some good advice on some of the stuff that's not refundable, and so I'm staying somewhere else, which is fine. The Long Lake Conservation, meeting of the whole, that was really interesting. Lot of good stuff came out of that, I feel. You know, I think we're kinda, hands are tied. We have to kinda keep it going, and we have to find funding and some help. Well, they can find their own funding. I mean, they're very brilliant at doing all kinds of good stuff. CARE, Matt, we're still rocking and rolling. We're busier than ever and still looking for drivers. We might have a possible grant. Oh, gosh. I can't remember who it was from. Anyway, it's right around 200,000, 230,000. I can get that information to you. So we would buy another van, another handicap. Everybody wants the handicap van, the wheelchair van. Lot of requests for that.
I know where you can get a used one, that's reasonable.
Well, we have to go through all the MnDOT processes that it's incredible.
Yes, but it was already a VA van from a veteran that passed.
But it's a new entity, so we would still have to go through
Yeah.
all the hoops. So, yeah, I mean, I'll let Amy know. Otherwise, I think that's all I had, really.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Sample?
Well, most of my meetings have been either canceled or, but, my airport commission meeting will be Wednesday night. Andrew gave a Northeast Waste Advisory
Oh, good.
update. I thought that the committee of the whole meeting was interesting. In fact, it brought up a lot of questions. You know, I mean, I'm really concerned about this. And I know Dave knows because I've asked him to clarify. We keep talking about grant money, where's it go? Because it stays right at Long Lake. They just need to change their budgeting process to put money aside. And if we needed money, couldn't we sell? Not Long Lake as a whole when we talk about that, but a couple of 40s.
I don't know. If we
That
can-
would bring big money for the upgrades, just food for thought.
Yep, yep.
And some of the other things that, update on the Big Sandy Lake and the Corps. I've talked to Dave about that. The Corps feels that they keep coming to all these meetings, it's a waste of their time because they get asked the same questions. Well, they get asked the same questions because they don't have the answers. So what they proposed is that they're gonna send me a letter with all of the questions that were asked at the last Corps meeting with the townships and the Lake Association. And I'm already talking to Bruce Johnson, who happens to be the chair of Big Sandy Lake. I'm gonna sit down and talk with him probably next week. And he's also on the Shamrock Township Board. That he would be the person to sit in the meeting, in my opinion, and write down all the new questions that come about, and we can go back and forth. Congressman Stauber has told them they will have a meeting in June. They've sent me the dates that Colonel Mazzy, the Corps commander, will be available to be here. So hopefully by then we can have this letter exchange going where they already know the next questions that's gonna come.
So Brett, who asked the Corps of Engineers to do this?
I did.
No, I mean,
Oh, no, they
What
were
is-
mandated, they were
who was? The Corps was mandated by you?
from Washington DC
Okay,
that they would do a land inventory. And that started all of the surveys. But the Corps in DC has said Big Sandy Lake is kind of a exception of maybe two other places
yeah.
where they have title fee and flowage rights. Usually the Corps owns all the title fee, or they have flowage rights. All we're asking them to do is give the title fee back to the people.
Yeah.
And keep the flowage rights. So that's kind of where we're at with the Corps. On Friday, Congressman Stauber came and went to Angie's Acres. And thanks for coming, Dave. And Mike he's over playing in the sand, getting a suntan. And Jeffers was there, and it was a good meeting. And he had one of the problems Angie's Acres is having, it's spring, and you have cattle, Lori.
Yeah.
How do you keep your feedlots with grass on them when it's mud? If you got cows walking, it's gonna create dirt.
Yeah.
And he was having problems with not getting calls back from certain departments, and Congressman Stauber has told his staff that they will work on that, and he's gonna work on that personally. So, did I miss anything there, Dave?
No, just clarify, those are departments of the federal government.
Government.
All
And
he needs a big wind when we get rain like this, because the wind will dry it up really quick.
exactly,
I mean, it's nature.
but I got a call coming in this morning that people already called in, the MPCA again, they called him
Oh,
yesterday.
man.
So, you know, you have people that are against and people that are for and whatever. I will say that the $187,000 worth of meat that he got back has all been distributed. All the hamburger went to 2 pounds per student for every high school.
Awesome.
The steaks went to all the Lions.
Nice.
And we got a whole bunch of roast given to the sheriff's department
Good.
that if you want to give the taxpayers a break, if he has them, they can do roast beef or French dip or whatever. That cuts down on the sheriff's budget.
Yep.
And when it cuts down on sheriff's budget, that's less of the taxpayers' money. Same thing as giving the meat to all of the schools, 2 pounds per student for every student in the county. And that's pretty much my update.
Okay, thanks, Commissioner. Yesterday, we had our initial budget meeting, kickoff session. Nothing really to report other than outline time schedules, et cetera, et cetera. I think everybody on the board is familiar with the process. Last week, we had the Brainerd One Watershed One Plan. It was a policy committee meeting, purely updates on things, nothing really new transpiring. The anticipated, and I emphasize anticipated funding from Bowser's looking quite promising for the upcoming year. Other than that, the Aitkin Municipal Airport Commission met. We had applied for this airport terminal program grant, 1.3 million. We should be hearing on that any time. They said by the end of April. I don't know if that's in dog years or people years, but hopefully we'll be hearing something soon. And the beauty of this thing, aside from being an FAA funded or a MnDOT Aeronautics, this is a 100% grant. There's no matching funds.
Awesome.
There's some miscellaneous things.
That's good.
And it's gonna save the airport commission rental fees that we are now paying monthly for terminal space. So it's looking pretty good. And the big item that we fought with FAA for how long, the runway where they wanted us to shorten the, here's
Shorten the road.
federal mentality. A few years ago, they subsidized the lengthening and widening of the runway. Then they came back and said, well, you gotta shorten it because we're only gonna fund so much of it. We leaped over that hurdle and we did get fully funded. So the runway taxiway project will be starting about May 25th, right after the road restrictions go off. And that'll be a much needed improvement for the aircraft coming in and out.
Guess you get one of those strings that they have on the boats, catch them.
Hey, will
Well-
they be able to land bigger, like a C5 or C-130?
Probably not.
That's doubtful. Right now, the runway can accommodate Learjets. And they're coming in, not every day, but they're coming in on a regular basis.
I just think it would be, and I know that there would be interest on them landing some of their planes, which is more revenue for the Aitkin Airport.
Absolutely. And now with the good news, bad news, the fire watch situation being what it is, we are getting fuel sales from DNR and other entities that are flying around. That is pretty much what I have to offer here. I'll just ask if there's any
I don't have anything else, Mr. Chair.
or commissioners.
No,
I guess that non-debatable motion would be in order.
sure.
Motion to adjourn.
Second,
Commissioner Westerland moves, supported.
And Commissioner Kearney has dropped off, so you don't need to do a roll call.
Oh, okay. And the minutes will reflect that. Supported by Commissioner Sample. All in favor, say aye.
Hi.
Opposed, same sign. Motion's carried. Meeting adjourned, and thank you, everyone. April, thank you for all you do, your technical support, and you keep us afloat.
I try.